Hi everybody. I'm putting together this video for all you folks who want to go to 12th night and you don't know as much as you want to know about German clothing from the 1500s. So I'm going to run this just like I would be doing a class at university. This is not going to be a perfect video. It's all right. So I've got 4 different outfits to talk about today, and I want to show you the differences between the different strata of society, because depending on what you are, that's going to dictate what you wear. So let's talk about this outfit first. This is a pretty common outfit for a peasant. It's a plain white shirt. It's a plain bodice. You have a little bit of banding on the skirt at the bottom, but it's not going to be anything fancy. And you can wear a hat like I've got on right now. This is called a Wulst and a Wulsthab. It's pretend hair, basically, but it's just a bun of rolled up soft material made into a loop, and then you cover it with something. Peasants wore this. But the good news is peasants also wore straw hats. So if you don't want to deal with this, you can wear this. So this is a very simple apron. It just ties in the back. Nothing fancy about it at all. This is just little folds that you put into a waistband, and the waistband is integral to the ties behind it. So this is a simple bodice pattern. This is closed with hooks and eyes. You can also put tape on the inside like my friend Greer does, and run thread through it, a lacing thread through it. I prefer hooks and eyes just because they work good for me. So this is what a peasant would wear, and I want you to notice there's no jewelry. There is no bling. There is nothing that says money on this person. They don't have a fancy embroidered apron. They don't have any embroidery on their collars or cuffs. This is plain. This is somebody who had no money. And you can get a very good peasant look if you do the final step, which is take care of your headgear. Headgear is paramount when you want to finish your look. So then we will go over to me. I am probably one step up from peasant. This is a female Landsknecht outfit. I guess Trossfrau would be the word for it. I followed the armies around. Sometimes I was a camp follower, sometimes I was a wife, sometimes I was a cook. Could be all three, don't know. I'm fancier than this person over here. I have a fancy hat with a feather. Ostrich feathers at the time were all the rage. This is just a wool hat. Looks like a flower almost on this side. Very simple to make, and you can just stick an ostrich feather through it. And then you wear it on top of all this getup, which I gotta tell you is a little bit warm. You can also make something like this. This is called a platter hat. I'm sure that there's a German name for it. This you can pin to the side of your hob. Hob is hat. You can pin to the side, and you can walk around with this on your head as well. Since 12th night is an indoor event, you don't have to worry about this, but I have worn this hat outside in windy weather, and you have to tie it on your head, because if it's windy out, this basically acts like a sail. This isn't too hard to make either. This is just a wire coat hanger in the shape of a circle, and it's inserted in here and sewn into place. I don't know if you can see that. And then there's a couple circles of wool, one on top of the other. You cut the pattern out for this, just like you would make a paper snowflake, really. And then you sew it together. Put on this, add your ribbon and your boa, and you're good to go. So, back to me being Trossfrau. I have my hob on, and they all seem to wear this. Then this is an Italian jacket. The Landsknecht armies were all over Europe, and in a woodcut, this is a jacket based on a woodcut. It shows a woman wearing one of these things. So this is just a regular sleeve, and then you make a long sleeve, and then you pin it onto this, and you slash it. And yes, this is frayed, and that's okay. So underneath this short jacket, you have my outfit, which basically similar to this in cut. I use the same patterns as this bodice and this skirt. My bodice is the same. You can see that I'm a little fancier because I have guards on here. And this is wool, by the way, and this pink is also wool. I have some fancy pleating on the top of my apron. And I have fancy decoration slashes at the bottom of my skirt. That's a hallmark of Landsknecht. So, my apron's fancier. I have fancier decorations. Oh, one thing we would have had in common, this lady and I, we would have both wearing a apron, belt, and pouch. This is the ubiquitous pouch. By ubiquitous, I mean very common. You see this on a lot of women at this time. No matter, well, the elites didn't wear these in portraiture, but you can see a lot of these in middle-class ladies and farmers. This is just made out of leather. It's a pouch that has 3 pouches on the outside. Mine closes by a button. There's no pattern for this that I could find, so I made the pattern myself. And it's posted on my website, so you can find it there if you like. I'm going to do a demo of this sometime. I don't know if it's going to be before 12th night, but anyway. My socks are just regular knee-high socks. They don't have to match. And let me talk about shoes for a minute. I seem to have misplaced my Landsknecht shoes, but these are my husband's shoes. And basically, I would be wearing something that looked exactly like this, but in my size. So they're square-toed at the ends. These are all throughout the woodcuts. You see stuff like this. I've only found one place to buy these. They're in California. They came to Peasant one year. We bought them. I haven't seen that vendor at Peasant since. For our peasant lady here, she wears some very, not bland shoes, but again, they don't have much style to them. These are actually latchet shoes from later periods, but I've seen shoes just like this in woodcuts, so it's conceivable that this style was around for several hundred years. If you don't have access to historically accurate shoes, your best bet is to go out and buy something like these shoes. These shoes also would pass for being appropriate. Now, in peasants, they probably would have, this would have been cut out. This would have been more like a slipper-like, but I don't like those kinds of shoes, especially if I'm walking around a city, which I will be when I go to 12th night. So something like this would be just fine too. So let's talk about this lady. So this is patchwork, just like patchwork for a quilt. So I'm a quilter. I took this on as a challenge to make this. I thought I was going to make myself a really fun dress to wear in the summertime, and then I realized that the linen this is made out of is going to fray like crazy. So then I had to back it. I had to put a backing on it, and now it's no longer a light summer dress. This dress is based on an image that I found in the Freydal. It's a book that the Emperor Maximillain made up and sent around Europe as PR for what a great ruler he was. And we don't know if the clothes seen in the Freydal, the book, were ever made. We just don't know. I've seen no extant pieces like this. Yes, I know this is, I have to fix that large tear. So I made this just for fun. There's nothing stopping you from doing the same thing. It's in the literature. Whether it existed or not, we don't know. This lady might be wearing chains as well. So I have chains here. The hat that went with this was a red beret. Yep, wearing berets at that time was a thing. It was a red beret, and it had 3 white ostrich feathers sticking up off of that. There's a photo on my website of that as well. So let's talk about construction for a bit. All of these dresses, despite the differences, are basically made in the same way. You have a bodice pattern. You have a bodice, one side, and then you have a back with a seam down the back, because this is a fitted bodice, and nobody has, well, very few people have a back that doesn't have a curve in it. So those are your pieces for your bodice. 2 fronts, or 2 backs, 2 fronts. The inside of these bodices are lined with a heavier layer of linen to give them body. I don't have any interfacing in them. You could use interfacing, I suppose, if you wanted to, but I wanted to be a little more accurate, so I used some heavy linen. The sleeve is a standard German sleeve. A German sleeve differs from our modern sleeve because the seam on a German sleeve goes up the back of the sleeve. And then to top off the top of the dress, you have guards on the wrists, you have guards here, and then you have guards down here at the bottom. The skirt for this is not a shaped skirt. None of these are shaped skirts. They're all just flat panels that have been gathered into the waist. Easiest kind of skirt ever. These are not lined because of where I live. It's very hot, and to line clothing that I'm going to wear in the summertime outside, it's really not feasible. So these are just appliqued on top of the fabric, and it's just a single layer of fabric. This was thrown together really quickly, and it's just, you can see that I've pleated the skirt right into the bodice, and I didn't even bother, well, they're zigzagged so they don't come apart, but other than that, these seams are not finished off. I have other dresses that are more finished, but for outdoor wear in the summertime, this is just fine because it's going to be thrown in the laundry. So that is my quick and dirty lecture about German clothing. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. So lots of people are probably wondering, what do you have underneath there? Well, I have, the top is called the Haub, H-A-U-B, and this is the cover for my fake hair. And this is my fake hair. It's just a padded roll over some reeds to give it body, and then it's on and it ties in the back. So if you take it off, this is what it looks like. Now, lots of people don't like wearing these things, and I'm included, but it's part of the look. So that you can, if you want to, instead of having one of these on, you can just take a very, very long piece of fabric and twist it around and wrap it around your head in the same shape as that hat. And then you can put a little hat on top of it to the side, and that will pass for German if you don't have the time to do anything really elaborate. So I hope this was helpful. Probably it is to some people. To others, it's probably just a reminder of what's available out there. There are German gowns that are way more fancy than what I've got, which is, you know, lower class, soldier class, and then these speculative gowns that we don't know whether they existed or not. I'll do another video on those later. I'm making a lovely silk gown for a friend of mine for the event, so if I get farther along in that, I'll make a video about that too. That will be a Swabian gown. So for now, hope this was helpful. Happy sewing. If you have questions, just make a comment. Bye-bye.